What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News. And it's morning time, so I'm getting my grind on, my cardio, my workouts for the morning. You know what I mean? Try to stay in shape, or try to stay alive, hell, really. But, I was just looking at another video. And, this video is about Billy Joe Saunders. Of course, Billy Joe Saunders has agreed to fight Demetrius Andrade. You know what I mean? And that should be supposed to be a good fight. You got two boxers, two slick boxers, two southpaws. You know what I mean? So that's a very even fight. I look at it 50-50 on paper, right? So, the significance about that video is what Billy Joe said. What Billy Joe said was, he would like the Danny Jacobs fight, because, of course, the belt that Golovkin lost, Deverenchenko and Danny Jacobs are fighting for it, right? So he wants that belt, and I don't know. He feels that Danny Jacobs is going to beat Deverenchenko, which I give Danny a good chance. I haven't looked at Deverenchenko's videos to really, I haven't seen a lot of them because he's only had like 12, 13 fights or something like that. So I haven't seen him and his style, and how can I envision matching that up with Danny's style. And Danny's a quick, fast, swift fighter. So I don't know who would win out of that. But let's say it's Danny Jacobs. That would be a good fight. And something I must mention before, because these are new times. This new media, things are happening a lot quicker. Billy Joe Saunders, of course, with Frank Warren. And the surprising thing is what Billy Joe Saunders said about Eddie Hearn, okay? Eddie Hearn, of course, him and his promoter are rivals, but he said Eddie Hearn came with the money. He came, he gave him an offer he can't refuse. He did that because, he said he was punctual, he was business, and, he could not say no to it. It was something that he wanted, and Eddie Hearn gave to him. And that's coming from a guy that's not even signed with Eddie Hearn. And Danny Jacobs is signed with Eddie Hearn. So if he does win that fight, I don't see, and given Billy Joe wins his fight against Demetrius Andrade, that fight should happen and there should be no problems with it happening. You know what I mean? Because, money talks and bullshit runs a marathon, right? So, it is what it is. But that should show you an example, of Demetrius Andrade, Danny Jacobs, Jesse Vargas. Eddie Hearns is getting a lot of American fighters, and that was his objective. It's probably not what he projected, but he's getting those guys, man. And he has this money. You know what I mean? Money talks, guys. Money talks. You know what I'm saying? So, but I just wanted to mention that because that shows a lot coming from someone else, looking in, right? So, man, it's hot. But I think that that Billy Joe has to dig deep. Andrade has to dig deep. Again, that fight's in the air. He did mention Canelo and Golovkin, and he just kept it real. Billy Joe. He's a shit talker. Let's face it. He does. He does get under his opponent's skin. He does have a lot to say for build-up, right? He called Demetrius Poo-Poo Andrade, not boo-boo, but poo-poo, right? So, he said that Golovkin and Canelo, they got other ways and other fighters to make a large amount of money because they are the top guys at the welterweight division on a business standpoint. It has nothing to do with the skill. The business of boxing, Canelo, then Golovkin, and then you probably got Jacobs, with Eddie Hearn. Then you might have Billy Joe, right? Because he's a champ. And then of course you have, guys like Charlo, then Andrade, and all those guys follow in behind that, then Deverenchenko. You have these guys that are there, but and he's right. Canelo and Golovkin, they don't really have to fight Billy Joe. And I don't think Golovkin cares about becoming the undisputed. I've already said that. Golovkin got caught up on the money game. See, $5 million, okay? $5 million is a lot different from $27 million. You can give me, a regular Joe, right? $5 million. There's a good chance in 5 years I'll be broke. But if you gave a regular Joe $27 million, that changes the whole game. You know what I mean? Your money is making money for you just inadvertently. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that Golovkin got a taste of that money, bro, and he's changed his objectives. He knows he's 36. He knows he won't fight forever. So I get it. I don't see him fighting someone like Billy Joe in another year. So I wouldn't even want him to see him fight Billy Joe because Billy Joe would be the favorite. He's too old. You know what I mean? I've seen him lose a step within last year and a year before. You see what I mean? Especially last year. I seen how he fought Danny Jacobs. He was cautious, but you would have saw a different performance if you'd have fought Danny Jacobs in 2016 or Canelo in 2016. You'd have seen a totally different Golovkin. You know what I mean? And he's more wise, but that shows that he's not just a brawler or whatever. And I don't want to make this video about Golovkin, but he learned a lot. He learned what to do and what not to do when fighting younger guys. But that doesn't mean he's going to be the favorite if he fights Billy Joe in another year, right? So, Billy Joe was right. And Canelo, he can fight whoever. I would love to see Canelo and Billy Joe because Billy Joe has a southpaw stance. It's not similar to Lara's, but he moves just as much. He's too mobile for Canelo to really, kind of pinpoint on him, especially with that reach and the size. So, yeah, man, the middleweight division is interesting and it's unfolding. The welterweight division is interesting and it's unfolding. And we just got to see what happens. But, yeah, Billy Joe, Danny Jacobs, that's the projection. And that might be the outcome. So you guys tell me what you think about this video. Please subscribe. And you guys been counterpunched. Peace.